Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration. It's your DC Spotlight for the week of June 3rd, 2026. If anyone's going to be at Phoenix Comic Con this weekend, Phoenix Fan Fusion, I think it's currently called, hosting 3 panels, which I've done the past couple years, and I tried to go down to 2 panels. I don't know if I told you this, Rocky. I tried to go down to 2 panels this year, so it wouldn't be so insane. And I knew I wanted to do a Punisher panel. And by the way, there's great panels. There's like an Absolute Batman panel. There's a ton of great panels. So normally I'd just go to my panels and that's it. But I'm planning on attending quite a few other comic panels. But anyway, I was trying to just do 2. So I was like, I know I'm going to do a Punisher panel. And actually, Jimmy Palmiotti, Dan Panosian, and Mike Barron are supposed to be joining me on that panel. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Right on. That one's Sunday afternoon. I think it's room 225 from 12 to 1. And then I submitted for one or the other of a Spider-Man panel. I was going to do a Spider-Man panel as well because we have Spider-Man Brand New Day coming. I was just going to do one. So I submitted for the Punisher panel, and then I asked the programming director, I'm like, yeah, I'll do Punisher and then one of these 2 Spider-Man panels. You pick which one you'd rather me do. And he goes, well, can't you do both? So I'm doing 3 panels again. So they're back-to-back. The Spider-Man panels are back-to-back on Friday evening. One of them starts at 6, goes from 6 to 7. And I think it's in 226, room 226B. And then the other one's right after that. So that one goes from 6 to 7, and the other one goes from 7:30 to 8 in the same room. So the first one, I believe the first one is top 10 Spider-Man stories of all time. We'll do a countdown and give people a chance to vote on it if I'm crazy with the way I ranked everything. And then the second one is about the comics that inspired the movie Brand New Day. And specifically when the first teaser trailer got dropped, we saw a bunch of images that were basically almost like recreations of classic Spider-Man covers. Like, we see him swing, that very famous Amazing Fantasy 15 that's been recreated so many times. We see him swinging and he's holding somebody under his arm. There was another image we saw where Boomerang, the villain, sometimes roommate of Peter Parker, is throwing boomerangs at him. That's Amazing Spider-Man 345. Then Tarantula jumping at him and gouging the ship that he's sticking to with his little pointy toe shoe spike thing or whatever, which is famously from Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's 135. So anyway, yeah, we're talking about those characters and why that and how Brand New Day could differ. And then obviously the title itself, Brand New Day, the most controversial Spider-Man story ever, how that's going to play in and all that. So if you can make it out, you're going to be there as usually is the case with my panels. There'll be giveaways, so you can win yourself something cool if you attend. So, and if you can't make it to the panel or whatever, you just want to meet up and say hi, be sure you're following me on social media. I'll be hanging around the convention most of the weekend, probably wandering the floor, drinking Wild Bill's soda, and just hanging out with some comic creators and what have you. So, yeah, looking forward to it. So, as far as the week DC, we're back to 10 books, which is really, really great. I wouldn't go so far as to say I was underwhelmed this week. There were 9 books I enjoyed. There was it's a giant gap. Like there's number 10 for me is like in terms of, well, I should do it the other way around. Like numbers 1 through 9 are up here, like pretty great, and number 10 is like all the way down, like a huge gap. Like one of the books I read it, I did not enjoy it. I had a visceral dislike of it, and we'll talk about it. But also, even my number 1 book wasn't like, oh, this was an easy pick for me for my book of the week because it was so good. It was good. I enjoyed it, but it didn't really stand out. And on a stronger week, it might not even be my top 5 at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought this week was, in fairness, was a little on the mediocre side, but enjoyable, except for that one book. So anyway, what did you think about the week overall?
Honestly, I would. There were probably only 3 comics this week that I would that I that were deserving of being in a top 5 for me. I have a top 5, but 2 in my top 5 it would normally never even be. They'd be at the bottom of the list any other week. This was a very mediocre week for me. I thought it was just very. I was very, very underwhelmed to be honest. And even the ones, even the ones that are in my top 3, people might be shocked to discover that when I talk about my top 5, you might be surprised to hear that they're in my top 5, because I'm going to probably be equally critical as I am praising them. But I mean, I need a top 5, and they're what it is. But yeah, it was a little underwhelming this week. But hey, it is what it is. And I know that you and I have a different top 5. We're different, so I'm always curious to hear which ones surprised you or which ones didn't. So we'll get into it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, again, I enjoyed the majority, and there were some that I enjoyed more than I expected to, but they're books that have been more toward the bottom. They've been in my bottom half of books, and they had better issues than I was expecting, which elevated them maybe to the top half, but they're still not, again, books that blew me away where I was like, oh my God, this is so good, I can't wait for you guys to read this, and what did you think, and what have you. So anyway, we'll kick it off with Harley and Ivy, Life and Crimes, issue 6. This is the final issue. Story and art by Erica Henderson. She handles the colors as well, and then letters by Hassan Otsman-Elhaou. This has been a very consistent book in the hands of Erica Henderson. I think if you're a Harley Ivy shipper, you'll enjoy it, and you probably have enjoyed the series overall. I'm not somebody who enjoys that relationship, that pairing. So no surprise for me that this was definitely toward the bottom. Came in at number 9 for me, but I did still enjoy it. And if anything, what I'll say about this series is I hadn't read a lot of Erica Henderson before. Like, I don't think I'd read a series that she'd done. I think my only experience with her work was in like anthologies or one-shots here and there. I certainly never read any Squirrel Girl or anything like that. So this was really my first exposure to her work, and she's extremely talented. She's an extremely talented comic creator. So I'm glad that I read this. I'm glad that this exists, if only for that reason. What are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, this came in at number 5 for me, and it wouldn't have made it in any other week. But as I said, I do think it does a good job of, it does a good job of basically giving us an origin of how Harley and Ivy, when they first met and when they first became intimate, and how it lays the foundations for what is undoubtedly one of the most dysfunctional relationships in comics. But at the same time, it's a relationship, and this is what makes it so interesting, is there are some writers that really take this relationship seriously and really try to write these women as if they're not psychotic. And I always find those stories to be the most interesting. But that I say that not to criticize people who like those interpretations of Harley and Ivy. And I'm going to be talking more about this when we review Poison Ivy issue 45 later. But I just find it interesting that there are so many different interpretations. People ship obviously Poison Ivy and Harley, and these are both psychotic criminals at one point, and they're kind of anti-heroes now. What they are depends upon the person who's writing it, and depends upon the whims of DC editorial, and they all have their different iterations, different continuities, different stories. But this one, in my mind, felt more like it was just a good overall. This was like the starter kit for Harley and Ivy. How did they meet? They were dysfunctional. They were both kind of confused and mixed up, but they have a lovable side too, but they also have a very serious side and a darker side, and that's touched upon here too, with Harley's relationship with the Joker, how dysfunctional that was, and just how Poison Ivy herself was somewhat of a loner and not used to having friends. And I thought Erica Henderson did a really good job ramming that home, so that regardless of whatever kind of relationship you imagine Harley and Ivy to have, it could still start off this way and evolve into whatever your version is. I got my own version, but I'll get into that later. But I thought this was a really good series overall, and it's worth picking up, even given the stylistic arc of Erica Henderson, which wasn't necessarily always my cup of tea, but because I got used to her with Squirrel Girl back over at Marvel, and I got the first 27 issues of that, and I enjoyed that. But in any event, this was good. It ended on a high note with them together and with promises of more adventures to come.
Yeah, it's interesting. You call it the most dysfunctional relationship. I don't disagree, but it's funny because she goes from what I would argue is a more dysfunctional relationship with the Joker. This seems to be the abuse seems to go both ways in this relationship, as opposed to when she was with the Joker, the abuse was just rained down on Harley. But it's funny because when Harley first got together with Poison Ivy, everybody praised it as, at least she's finally in a healthy relationship or whatever. But
Good God.
but here's the problem, and I'm not blaming or pointing fingers or anything, but it's like no relationship in comics can really be that healthy because these are dramatic stories. You need the dramatic tension, and you know what I mean? So one thing you can, as a writer, that you can use to create dramatic tension and drama in story is, problems with the relationships. So
that's true.
Yeah. Or if you're dumb and you're Marvel, you just erase them completely and your fans hate you for decades. So anyway, let's, I'm not going to forget about covers this time. But that being said, Rocky's got the two variants up there. I didn't think any of them stood out to me. I was like, all right, they're okay. I've got Amy Reeder on one of them. That would be the one in the middle.
Yeah, I like that one. I think she did a good job on that one.
Yeah,
Amy.
I mean, it's okay. I don't think it was anything that special. And then the other one is by Leslie Lee, the one that's behind me. So yeah, I thought they're all right.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Up next, we have JSA issue 20. Which is also legacy number 300. That being said, for being a 300th issue, it's not oversized. They didn't call it out on the cover or whatever. So I'm not surprised by this. DC continues its lack of respect for the JSA property, is what I'll say. But it's written by Jeff Lemire. Art is by Diego Orlatugi. Colors by Luis Guerrero, and letters by Steve Wands. This one just missed my top 5. It came in at number 6 for me. I enjoy the art. I enjoy the colors. I enjoy the Spectre overall. And in a way, this is a good introduction to the Spectre because they kind of give, if you're a reader who's not familiar with him, Golden Age character has been around for a long, long time. But through the course of the story, we sort of get his background and his origins. And so I appreciated that part of it as well. Mm-hmm. Unexpectedly, the last page, the character that shows up on the last page is not somebody that I have ever. It's a DC character that I have not ever associated with the JSA at all. It's Metron, who one of the Jack Kirby New Gods. But at the same time, I kind of like it. I like Metron. I think Metron kind of and kind of the feel of the New Gods fit in very well with kind of the history and legacy of the JSA in a lot of ways. So curious to see where this goes with the Spectre, who basically is untethered, doesn't currently have a human host to temper any of his wrath. So yeah, this could have made my top. I mean, again, it didn't blow me away, but this easily could have. I probably could have put this at anywhere between 4 and 6. But I thought Orlatugi's art was really great this week, and the colors also really popped off the page, and I enjoyed it. So, anything to add, Rocky?
I really enjoyed. Madame Xanadu showed up as well. She was a little unexpected, so it was nice seeing her. They're looking for Jim Corrigan. They're looking for him. He's missing, and I thought it was a great reveal. In fact, this is not a high compliment. This was the best issue of JSA in 20 issues.
Yeah, low bar for you.
It was a very low bar because this has been a very underwhelming series. in my view. It's great to see Metron show up. Finally, maybe we'll get a little bit of excitement here. Well, rather than these just boring JSA stories. But then I do get a sense that this is JSA 101. Like you said, this was a really good issue for a Spectre, like an introduction to the JSA, introduction to the Spectre, and it was very easy to follow, well paced, et cetera, et cetera. But maybe it's just better for new readers. I still think the best comics are the ones that cater to both longstanding readers and new readers. This is better for new readers. For a longtime reader like me, this is this is forgettable and underwhelming. But maybe with Metron, maybe this next whatever story, wherever Jim Corrigan is, if it's involved Metron and the New Gods, hey man, sign me up. We'll see what Jeff Lemire has in store for us.
Yeah, where did you rank it?
I put it at number 9, to be honest with you, because that final page reveal couldn't make up for the rest of it that I just thought I'd read before. So,
yeah. Again, we've talked about this before. You've read that Jeff Johns run of JSA, so you're even more familiar. We're both huge fans of All Star Squadron. Yeah. But you have that Jeff Johns JSA knowledge that I never read that. It's on my list of things I'd love to read someday. Just matter of finding the time.
Oh yeah, you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, and as far as there's only one variant cover. Rocky's displaying it there in the middle. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's by Matt Taylor. It definitely has an old school Golden Age feel. So, all right. Up next, we've got Adventures of Superman, Book of L, number 9. Let me get the credits in front of me. This is written by Phllip Kennedy Johnson. We've got, I think it was a different artist this time. Yeah, no, it's regular series artist Scott Godlewski, colors by Alex Squirmus, and letters by Dave Sharp. Now this one made my top 5. It came in, actually made my top 3, but did not make your top 5. So give us your thoughts first, and then I'll go.
I got, I put this dead last. I never read DC Sonic, but I'm sure DC Sonic would have entertained me more than this. I'm just out of the story. I finally got to the end of this. It was nice to see the Mongol who was showed up, because we thought he was dead, killed by his son back when PKJ wrote his Superman, when he was writing Action Comics or whatever. But then, again, just, this, all this narration, exposition, reading a history book on who Pyros is and the birth of Elysium, and I'm enjoying the pages of Superman right now, Superboy Prime, and what have you. I just can't really get into this. I can't get into it, and so I'm not going to do it justice. And so I'm glad that you put the time in and it's made your top 5, and I'm more than happy to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so for me, this is really starting to come together with the twins, Otho Ra and Osel Ra, and Superman himself being pulled through time, being pulled way into the future, when Superman's legacy on Earth and throughout the universe is very evident from his descendants and what have you, and there's kind of different factions or whatever. Like they've been sort of these disparate story threads, and in this issue, I feel like PKJ is starting to pull them all together, which is really, really exciting. So the sense I got in this issue for the first time in this, like overwhelmingly in this run, is the sense of scale and epicness that we have in this story. And throughout my reading of this issue, all I could think about was how much I'm going to go back. Like once this is done, and we know PKJ's time at DC is going to be done for now, because he's exclusive with Marvel for now. Not to say that can't change in the future. But once this is done, I'm going to find time to go back and reread his Action Comics run, which will then lead into his John Stewart Word Journal run, and then it'll read into this. Because in a way, that's all one big story. With the Flame of Olgrin and the War Zoons and the Superman family. I'll even go back and reread his Future State stuff, because that hints at this as well. Because I think and
you're ambitious.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that DC is going to collect it all in because I don't buy a lot of Omnibuy because I just don't have room, and I'll oftentimes have the single issues, so it's kind of redundant to me. Like usually when I buy Omnibuy, I'm buying them to kind of resell. Like I'll do a Kickstarter or whatever for big collections, and then I resell them. Trying to support the comic book habit and pay all my podcast bills, what have you. But anyway, I will. I say all that to say I will buy the omnibus if there is one that collects this whole story, and that's not one that I'll resell. I want to buy it to have it. I want to have this whole story in one volume. As far as covers, there's a couple of great covers for this one. There's a Lucio Perillo variant cover, and then there's a Mario Facio cover, or Fox as he goes by, which is great as well. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Everything's starting to come together. I won't really get into the actual story beats because it won't really make any sense to anybody. Because we talked about JSA being very new reader friendly. I will say this Adventures of Superman Book of L is probably the least new reader friendly book, one of that I've ever read. Like you need to have read the entire War World run. There, you don't have to have read the War Journal, John Stewart War Journal, in order for this to make sense, but it will provide more context.
Yeah.
But you have to have read that stuff. And yes, there's back matter. There's pages from the Book of L. It would be really cool also if DC actually ever produced, a hard copy Book of L. That would be awesome. It'd be like the equivalent of a Bible. That would be really cool. I definitely would buy that. So anyway, I'm enjoying this. This is one of the ones where it's been in kind of the lower half for me because it has been so many moving parts. But I felt like this was the best issue of the series so far. All right, let's move on. Up next, we have the first issue of a weekly series that DC is putting out throughout the month of June, Pride Month. It's Justice League Dream Girls, a DC Pride event is how they're subtitling it. So it's written by Jadzia Axelrod and Nicole Maines. 3 different artists here. We've got Nicola Scott, Jay Bone, and Brant and Stein handling the art. And then for colors, we have Annette Kwok, Marisa Louise, and if I can read this here, I'm butchering this name. I apologize. Debarla Kelly, Dearbhla Kelly on colors. Apologies. I know I'm butchering that first name. And then under letters, we've got Jody Troutman and Frank Sidovic. So I wasn't sure what to expect from this. Jadzia Axelrod, you're going to get Galaxy. Nicole Maines, you're going to get Dreamer. But as soon as I opened this up and I saw the splash page and I saw that Nicola Scott art, it just brought a smile to my face. Like I'm such a fan of Nicola's art. She's fantastic. So this is another one that surprised me a little bit. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. So it came in at number 7 for me. It's DC's done a few of these weekly events. Like we had one, there was or a couple of them actually the last couple of years. I think it was during the summer, because we did have, not this last Christmas, but the 2 Christmases prior, we had a Christmas event with Santa Claus, and then the last 2 summers, I believe, we had the Gotham City Sirens, if I'm not mistaken, that were weekly series. One of them was by maybe both of them were by Leah Williams, and they underwhelmed a little bit. So again, I wasn't sure what to expect here. Also, I'm not a big fan of Galaxy, just as a character, so I wasn't sure what to expect. But that being said, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed seeing Galaxy and Dreamer in the. We're not exactly sure what's going on, but they are basically playing different roles in the DCU. Like it starts off and we're on Paradise Island, and Nia is basically Diana. Like she's playing. They call her Princess, It's as if, and everybody's treating it as if that was always the case. Galaxy somehow is an Amazon as well. Nobody calls out the fact that she looks wildly different with her purple skin and green hair or whatever. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Steve Trevor washes on shore. So it's all these different scenarios that are very familiar and yet don't make sense. Like, wait, what? And then we shift from there to Gotham City, where we see Nia basically as Batman / Batgirl, and Galaxy shows up and she's got Superman's powers, so it's very much like a world's finest. And there seems to be the same antagonist that's trying to access these archives, if you will, these knowledge archives, and they're trying to get Galaxy and Dreamer to go along and help them access it. And they seem to have their suspicions regardless of what the situation is. And then we shift to kind of the third act, if you will, and we're on the Justice League satellite. We've got some heroes arguing and talking about Galaxy and Dreamer, and they're a little bit trepidatious about. They seem to be a little more trusting of Galaxy, saying she's proved herself. They're still very suspicious of Nia. Going back to when Neo was on the Suicide Squad, helping Amanda Waller with the takeover of Gamora and what have you, which she was forced to do because her parents were being held hostage. But regardless, we find out that Nia and Galaxy they're on the satellite, they're on the Justice League satellite, and they're dreaming. And so what the heck is going on? We're not really sure. So I appreciate the mystery and the cliffhanger that we have. I also really, really was impressed with the banter back and forth between the members of the Justice League as they were arguing, specifically Guy Gardner and Oliver Queen. I thought it was done really, really well. So Jadzia and Nicole Maines are impressing me with their abilities to nail these voices. It's just a real good vibe. Like, I even love how Star Sapphire's kind of like rolling her eyes as Jessica Cruz and Ollie get into it a little bit. So yeah, I enjoyed it much more than I expected to. And there is a little bit of a backup as well, which is written by Greg Rucka with art by Claire Rowe, Mike Spicer on colors, and Hassan Osman Elhau on letters. And it's Peloton Grease. And it's basically Batwoman, and I can't remember the other girl, the other character's name, but we saw her in the pages of the Cheetah and Cheshire robbed the Justice League.
We did? Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
What's her
Aaliyah.
name?
Well, that's Aaliyah?
Yeah, Aaliyah. Yeah. I didn't recognize it as her at first, but then when she shows up later and she's got the hood with the little ears, I was like, oh yeah, she was.
I thought she was so young. She was a teenager. It's a little creepy, isn't it? Isn't Kate getting a little young, or what?
I think she's in her 20s. She's in
Aaliyah?
her 20s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I never thought. Oh, that's. I don't know. I have to look at that Cheetah series again because Aaliyah looked like she was a teenager. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, it ties in with Batwoman. That was just okay. It almost seemed like a throwaway. I wasn't sure why that was in there, but I imagine we'll get it probably backups that are just introducing characters to other, or introducing readers to other LGBTQ characters throughout the month is my guess.
Yeah.
So, so again, this came in, what did I say, number 7, I think is what I said for me. So I enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next issue.
Yeah, it came in at number 6 for me. I enjoyed it too. I thought Nicole Maines. This is by far the Axelrod's best work because I wasn't a big fan of what she did on Hawkgirl. So I hope she picks up some writing tips from Nicole Maines. I don't know which parts of this, the first story that she wrote, but I thought it was really well. I thought the artistic change was a little jarring for me. I had to reread the first story twice. I really did. I love Nicola Scott's art. It's fantastic. I really love the Paradise Island aspects. And then when it went to Gotham City, I was confused at first. I actually guessed that they were dreaming. I think it was kind of fairly obvious that something was going on and they were dreaming. But it was more or less accessible. Like, it's new reader friendly, and it was interesting. I agree with you that it sort of pulled you in, and it was a good opening issue, and it had humor in it, and it had good banter, had good dialogue, and the art really was good. We have, two very different artists, but it did work given what it was doing, and in fact it makes sense because you have dreams, you got different images, you got you got different style, because in dreams our dreams are infinite. So in any event, I thought it was it was entertaining. My favorite story, though, I have to say, I just want to say to Greg Rucka that I wish Batwoman #1 would have been this backup as opposed to what we got. I really enjoyed it. I really liked. I didn't know that Aaliyah. You educated me there. I didn't know Aaliyah. This was from the Cheetah series. That character Aaliyah. I just thought this was a great, more interesting Kate, a more aggressive Kate, one where she's not afraid to go to a bar, have some fun, pick up a woman, it felt more human. Like it just felt like a little bit. Kate could finally open up, and she actually seems more likable. And his Batwoman series is so dark and gloomy and dark side and blah blah blah, and my sister's dead and my sister's whatever, or my sister's alive, who knows. But I thought this was so much better, and of course it's only part 1 of this series, and it's 4 issues long, but for this month, Pride Month, and I think I really, really liked it, and I'm looking forward to see where this is going to be going, Carrie. And I'm even more interested now that you said it's Aaliyah, and now I'm going to go crack open my back issues of and double check what her age is, because I could have sworn she was a teenager, but I guess, hey, all the power to Kate. I guess she likes him young, I guess.
Yeah, but we definitely don't have an age, an official age for her.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Elisa Ratko is her full name. Alias is Featherweight. She's Ra's al Ghul's granddaughter. Nisa is her mother. Nisa, who we saw recently in the pages of Batgirl. Don't know who her father is. But yeah, she first showed up in, as I said, Cheetah and Cheshire Robbed the Justice League. Issue number 2, actually. And that art was by Nicola Scott as well. And yeah, I always got the feeling she's transgender, and I always got the impression she was right around 20. So,
well, yeah, didn't she say she said to Clarion that he was a little young for her, wasn't he? Or was that a different character?
I thought she said to Clarion that Clarion was a little young, because Clarion's like around 15, 16.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe she's older than I'm realizing, but not. Haven't gotten official. I guess Greg Rucka could answer that question for us. But anyway, yeah. As far as variants, there's a Claire Rowe variant that has Batgirl on it. It's really cool. And then there's a Phil Jimenez cover, connecting cover, which if you're watching this on YouTube, that's in the middle there, which is going to show, I imagine, a bunch of LGBTQ DC characters throughout the month that'll connect together. And I was like, okay, clearly Connor Hawke and Renee Montoya question and Jonathan Kent there, but I wasn't sure who the guy with the beard was. He's
the DC equivalent of Doctor Strange, I think, but I can't remember his name. He's sort of a...
Oh, is that the guy from Extraño?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
man, he looks so wildly different than how he looked when he first was in Millennium, because he had the twirly... Remember the twirly mustache? He looks great here. It looks better. Phil Jimenez is, when it comes to art, Phil Jimenez, in my opinion, can do no wrong. I've never seen bad art from Phil Jimenez. So anyway,
yeah.
All right, let's move on. Up next, we have Batman number 10, written by Matt Fraction, Jorge Jimenez on art, Tomeu Morey on colors, Clayton Cowell with Jorge Jimenez on letters. This made my top 3. It did not make Rocky's top 5, so I want you to go first, Rocky. Give us your thoughts on it.
I just thought it was. I still feel like we're playing setup here, and I shouldn't. Last issue I thought was really. Last issue I thought with the members of the Batman family all being chased by Vandal Savage, Commissioner Vandal Savage, and of course they blew up the Wayne Manor, and they have this master plan. Barbara Gordon got captured, and she's been let herself get captured on purpose so she could infiltrate the whatever jail in order to protect people in jail from, I don't know, other jailbirds. in any event, so far this entire setup is just not particularly compelling to me. This has fallen off the rails for me spectacularly in the last two issues. Where was the Lady Death or whatever? That was such an epic issue, and the Joker showed up telling Bruce Wayne he's gonna get killed, and now here we get revelations which I'm sure are going to lead somewhere. Okay, in Fraction I trust. But it just seems two issues now. The momentum to me has just been absolutely slowed to a snail's pace, and I'm not interested in this. And we have a death of a Batman villain in this issue. I'll let you talk about that. I thought that was it's like sort of like meh. I'm still very much interested in Dr. Zeller, and I love her. I love when she and Bruce Wayne banter back and forth. I love that. We don't really get any of that in this issue. We get like a CEO, we get a board meeting where because of the attack on the attack on Hugo Strange and attack at Wayne Industries, they give Bruce Wayne crap. They want to Dr. Zeller wants to shut down her program, and the board seems to be in favor of that, and they want to sell it to a military organization or sell it to the military for money and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just not particularly interested. And the Minotaur, so Batman figures out the Minotaur is a capitalist. Okay. I'm definitely at the whoop-de-doo stage. I'm not really, I don't feel like that this is really building to anything. And I know it is, and I'll be open to be overwhelmed in subsequent issues here, but this one just really disappointed me. And then even the ending, with the drones in the sky with the bat signal, I thought, why would Vandal Savage have to worry about that? Oh, who cares? You have another bat. You have a drone sky bat signal. Whoop-de-doo. I'm just wondering. What is, where is this? I don't have any sense where this is going. Now, in fairness, obviously we'll get more in subsequent issues, but this just really felt like two in a row. I almost forget what got me excited in this series right now. I can't believe how two issues have sort of like drained my love for this, where this is going. So I really, really hope this picks up, because this issue was just very, very meh for me. And given what I thought was a disastrous Barbara Gordon breakout issue, which again, I don't like where that was going. This just seems like, come on, man. It just has me shaking my head. So it's in your top 5. So I want you to cheer me up and give me reasons to hope, Jace.
I find it so fascinating, because what's happening in the main Bat title and the kind of the narrative structure of it is not so different from what's happening in the Absolute title, in terms of disenfranchised Batman, nobody trusts him, a police force that is out to get him, and what have you. Now the huge difference being that in the Absolute universe, we haven't seen a lot of the characters, right? So the kind of the shock value and the newness of getting a new Absolute version of some monstrous Batman villain every issue is like hyping people up or whatever. But it's so fascinating to me that you can absolutely adore one book in the Absolute because it feels new and fresh, and then when we do the main universe, which is a similar story, that it feels like
I don't see. I just don't see it being a similar story.
Yeah.
I don't see. I don't see the similarities either.
I get that, and it's fair. But I'm not the only one saying that. There have been articles written about, hey, anybody notice that these specifically the last issue 9, and whatever issue of Batman, it got called out on several comic book coverage sites that people are like, does anybody realize these books are doing the same thing? Which I found to be fascinating, because I 100% saw that they were doing the same thing, but nobody was really talking about it until those two sites called it out. So again, I just find it interesting. This is another one of those, I mentioned it about how underwhelming this week is, and this is another one. I've really been enjoying Batman by Matt Fraction, but do I think this is a fantastic issue? No, but by default, it ends up in my top 3 just because it's kind of a weaker week, if you will. But again, what's interesting to me is talk about these last couple issues going off the rails and losing all momentum. Again, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but at the same time, when I objectively step back and look at what the series has been doing, specifically what this issue is doing, Matt Fraction's not doing anything different than he's been doing the whole time. You mentioned, okay, well, what's going on with the Lady Death type character? Where has she gone? What's going on with the Joker in the tank? Like that got introduced and now it's just gone. But this is just the way Fraction wants to structure it. We could have been saying the same thing all along with this Minotaur and his one percenters, right? Like they showed up, he got touted as a new villain in a new villain group, and he's going to be a formidable foe for Batman or whatever. And then he just disappeared for 6 issues. We didn't hear anything about it. But now with this issue, we're circling back around. Batman's put 2 and 2 together. He's a capitalist. He's going to have to do some forensic accounting or whatever. But got to put that off for one night because he's got to go out and show Gotham City that Batman's still there after the events of what happened last issue. So, if anything, to me, issue 9 was a bit of a low point because I wasn't buying it. Like it didn't, like the decisions they made. And actually, you're the one that said, in Batman we should trust or whatever. And that's reiterated time and time again in this issue 10, where it's like everything that happened was all to plan. They're setting Vandal Savage up, and the night that this issue takes place, issue 10, is actually the downfall of Vandal Savage, but he doesn't realize it yet. And we as readers don't realize it yet either, in terms of, wait, how is it the downfall of him? Is there some kind of virus in the hard drives, the computer hard drives that were left behind, and it's going to crash the GCPD and cause Vandal Savage to run away with his tails between his legs or whatever? Like it seems to me, and knowing Matt Fraction, the kind of writer he is, that this is going to be a situation where Vandal Savage is soundly defeated, but not through any sort of battle, not in any physical way. Batman is going to outsmart him, outwit him, outmaneuver him, and Savage is going to have to run away. But we know he can't leave Gotham because he's tied to Gotham now. So how will that work? We'll have to wait and see. But it's reiterated time and again. This is all going to plan. Barbara Gordon being in Supermax, it's all going to plan and everything. So I appreciated the reassurance that this is all going to plan. I appreciated that Fraction circled back around to the Minotaur, which again gives me confidence. He's going to circle back around to the Lady Death villain character. He's going to circle back around to the Joker in the tank. This is just the way that he wants to structure it. And I actually really appreciate that, right? Because I come from a generation of reading comics where everything wasn't done in 6 issues. Everything wasn't written for the trade. And so I appreciate this. I also don't disagree with you that it was a little bit, okay, so you have a new bat signal that's a bunch of drones as opposed to a light on top of GCPD headquarters. I get it's a little, okay, so what? But I like the possibilities of it, right? Because now you can talk about perhaps crowdsourcing the bat signal. So if anybody's in trouble, maybe there's an app or something that you could assemble those drones, whatever. So that might be cool. So what, is this the greatest issue of this run? No. Is this the greatest issue of Batman? No. Is it an upswing and an uptick from last issue? 100%. 100% I think it is. The art by Jorge Jimenez is strong. The color work by Tomeo More is strong. So I appreciated that. I appreciated circling back around to the Minotaur, even though I kind of find him to be a little boring so far. But again, we'll give Fraction a chance to prove he's a formidable villain. And it also felt, as much as last issue felt like it wasn't really being true to who Batman was as a character, like that scene with Wayne Manor being blown up, I just don't ever see Batman doing that unless it's some big fake out. It didn't really blow up, right?
Yeah.
I just can't see him. That's like a reminder of his parents and the Wayne family name. For him to blow it up, like I get, even if it's a ploy, okay, we're going to blow it up, we can rebuild it, whatever. I still kind of think, would you really do that? But be that as it may, him and kind of the wins that he appeared to give Vandal Savage, it just felt out of character for Bruce Wayne and Batman. But yet with this one, him going, okay, I figured out that it's a financial thing with the Minotaur, and that's where I need to go and look, and talking to the kind of AI Alfred, we'll call him. But then deciding, hey, I'm not going to do that forensic accounting analysis tonight because Gotham City needs to see me out there and know that Batman's still around. That is very in character. So as much as I felt Bruce Wayne was a little out of character last issue, this issue felt like it really brought him back to true. So those are the reasons it's in my top 3. I appreciated it. A few different variant covers. The main cover behind Rocky, the Ryan Sook cover with Catwoman looking sexy as hell in the middle there, and then there's a Dustin Nguyen cover that's behind me. There's also a Jorge Molina cover with Batman perched on a gargoyle, and Jorge Jimenez cover does have a version variant. So yeah, it wasn't great, and in a stronger week this wouldn't make my top 3, but it is what it is, and that's the reasons it made my top 3. So I don't know if that changed anything for you, Rocky. I imagine not.
No. Well, like I said, it gave me reinstalled some hope that he's going to be revisiting all this. I would just say that Scott Snyder has a way of every single issue. There seems to be some epic moments that make me go wow, and that's just missing from Fraction. But
agreed.
But
Yeah.
anyways, well, I'm enjoying it. It's still on my pull list, obviously. But
yeah, I mean, it is harder to have shock value when it's in the established main universe DC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Definitely shock and awe, and new characters are the engines that drive Absolute Batman. So, all right, up next we have Poison Ivy number 45. It's written by G. Willow Wilson, art by Leandro Fernandez, colors by Eric Prianto, letters by Hassan Otsman Elhau. This continues to be an excellent book. This was a no-brainer in my top 5. That being said, I don't have a whole heck of a lot to add here in terms of being new. I mean, this issue continues to just give great characterization for Poison Ivy in the hands of G. Willow Wilson. Her interactions with Vandal Savage are awesome. Her interactions with Bog Venus in this issue, again, they feel true. They feel very much of an extension and an evolution of what's been established before by G. Willow Wilson. And I got to say that giving Poison Ivy political power by making her the mayor of Gotham and having her try to solve the problems of Gotham City through her mayoral duties was a stroke of genius by G. Willow Wilson. I've said this before. We're going to get to 50 issues of a Poison Ivy series when we've never had 50 issues of a character like Hawkman, who's been around from the Golden Age. Yeah. That is so interesting and quirky to me, and yet completely deserving. This title is completely deserving because, again, G. Willow Wilson is doing such a fantastic job. She really made her name for herself in comics and kind of earned her stripes, if you will, through her work on the Kamala Khan version of Miss Marvel. But I feel like, and again, I've read some of that stuff, not all of it, but to me, and again, I haven't read everything that G. Willow Wilson has done, but for me, of the things that I've read, this is head and shoulders above anything else that she's done. So I recommend this title to any and everybody. And you can say, hey, I'm not a Poison Ivy fan. I don't care about Poison Ivy. I wasn't a Poison Ivy fan. I didn't care about Poison Ivy. I said before, it's very much a two-dimensional Batman villain. But in the hands of G. Willow Wilson, she's become something so much more. And I'll continue to make that comparison to the way Alan Moore elevated Swamp Thing. That's exactly what G. Willow Wilson has done with Poison Ivy. So excellent series. I don't think this, correct me if I'm wrong, Rocky, I don't think this got nominated for an Eisner this year, and that's criminal that it did not. So anyway, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, this was, by far, for me, this was my favorite female character-led title for sure. And I got, the Eisners is a topic where I don't always agree with the nominations, let alone who ends up winning. But no, I would have definitely put this J. Willow Wilson ought to have been nominated, certainly above a few other ones. If I say the ones that shouldn't have been nominated, I just end up, I don't want to insult anybody who was nominated because, I'm just a Purian fanboy, and I'm probably too opinionated. But in any event, I'm going to give a little bit of a rant here. This is definitely in my top 3, and I love what J. Willow Wilson is doing with Poison Ivy, even though I'm about to criticize the hell out of Poison Ivy, but in all the best ways, because I don't know what the hell it is. Poison Ivy is a terrible mayor. Poison Ivy doesn't listen to advisors. Poison Ivy, she's like the female version of Trump. What's the point of having advisors if you never listen to them? She's unreasonable. She's not particularly, she's not good at, she does whatever she wants. She even kills. She does whatever she needs to, and she's more prone to use lethal force to get her way than to use diplomacy. She is a horrible mayor. She is absolutely just as bad and corrupt as any other previous mayor, and she wants to take out Batman. She gets angry at Vandal Savage because Vandal Savage doesn't have Batman under control. It makes me openly wonder, does Fraction appreciate that probably more of a threat is Poison Ivy than Vandal Savage? I know that we've got a Poison Ivy Batman big event coming up, and you can see the workings of it here, and J. Willow Wilson's doing a really good job. She's very upset that that Batman approached Janet from HR, and basically Batman just kind of threatened Poison Ivy, saying, just resign as mayor and go on, and I basically won't deal with you. Well, that really pissed off Poison Ivy. She's already struggling with Harley Quinn leaving her, their relationship going awry, which I got more to say on that in a bit, but then when she confronts the kettle hole devil who approaches her, because remember, she killed Bog Venus. She basically ate Bog Venus. Then she's confronted by Xylon. And basically, both sides, the Green, the Parliament of the Trees, and the Grey, they've abandoned her. And there's basically a hit out now on Poison Ivy. So Poison Ivy has really shut out everyone. She has basically... Let me rephrase that. She's pissed everyone off. She's, slowly pissing off. She's pissed off the powers that be of the Green and the Grey. She's pissed off she's clearly pissing off Batman. Vandal Savage doesn't like her. The people of Gotham are slowly likely going to realize that they got to, frankly, she's acting a little bit psychopathic, or at least, shall I say, sociopathic, and now, getting into that, this is exactly how I would expect kind of Poison Ivy to be, a terrible mayor. So here's what I find interesting is, why does Poison Ivy, I was a little bit surprised at how when Xylon even hinted at doing harm to her clown, to Harley, Poison Ivy loses it. And absolutely loses it. And she says she threatened that she would wipe out the Green, the Grey. She'd kill them all if they harmed Harley. And I don't know why. Now that actually surprised me, because I think what J. Willow Wilson has done here, and I said this before, I'll say it again. I never thought that Poison Ivy cared that as much for Harley as now it's coming out. I actually was convinced, and this is a credit to J. Willow Wilson's writing, she led me to believe that I thought it was believable that Poison Ivy was slowly working toward a relationship with Janet from HR, that was going to happen. Now, you can say I'm full of it, and maybe, obviously I am, but that's just a credit to her storytelling abilities, and maybe I read in my own wishful thinking, and I thought, this is how it's going to be. And I always think of Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn as casual sexual partners. But then, of course, we get this series with Erica Henderson, what their origins are. Clearly, Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, they do love each other. But they're not, I don't know, they're not really committed to each other. Are they really? But I guess they have this understanding. They can have sex with other people, and then they get back together. But it's clear that J. Willow Wilson, I think... Is she trying to suggest that Poison Ivy needs her relationship with Harley Quinn to stay grounded? Is Poison Ivy pissing everybody off and in a bad mood and miserable just because Harley left her and that relationship is over? I'm getting that sense, and that disappoints me. It kind of pisses me off a little bit, because I thought Poison Ivy was maybe a little bit more mature than that. She had sort of evolved past that, or that I didn't think that Harley had that much power over her. That relationship. I didn't think that relationship had that much power over Poison Ivy. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misreading it. Maybe I've missed the entire point of what J. Willow Wilson's doing. But I love it. I love the fact that I'm thinking and I'm asking these questions because I'm actually not entirely clear what the hell's going on in Pamela Isley's head. And I like that because, and how often has J. Willow Wilson done that to us throughout her entire series? Where is she good? Is she bad? Is she evil? Is she psychopathic? Once again, I've got question marks in my head as to what exactly is going through the brain of Pamela Isley, and I'm enjoying the hell out of this story. And I know some people, this entire plotline has rubbed people the wrong way. They haven't liked her tenure as mayor. I think it's very revealing and it's opening up new possibilities and it's revealing some disturbing, harsh truths about Poison Ivy because it says to people, you thought I was making Poison Ivy an anti-hero / hero? Well, guess what? Maybe not. Maybe she's going to end up being firmly planted in the role of villain at the end of all this. Who knows? I can't believe I'm enjoying this as much as I am, given the fact that I wanted her to stay a villain. And then I was kind of glad she became a little bit more complicated and anti-hero. Now I'm kind of looking forward to her becoming evil again, if that's what she's doing. I don't know. So I'm a little bit all over the place, but in all the best ways. And this definitely was a high rank for me this week. And this would have been probably in my top 5 in any other week. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, yes, she's a psychopath. 100% she's a psychopath. But I think the people, that's kind of why they voted for her, you know? And much like you're all over the place, Poison Ivy's all over the place as well. As mayor, you're 100% right. She's just as corrupt or whatever. All politicians are corrupt, but it's the whole us versus them mentality. Well, that team, this team, whatever. They all get. You can get into politics with the best of intentions, but then when you see the way the system is, at least in this country, and how hard it is to make change, you just kind of, I feel like people get disillusioned, and instead of trying to turn the gigantic ship that is the government, you just like, well, I'm going to just line my pockets like everybody else is doing because change is so hard to engender. And I feel like Poison Ivy's sort of doing the same thing, but she's like, okay, I can't do this politically. I can't do this the right way through the right channel. So I'm just going to kill people. But do I think that the citizens of Gotham would disagree with the choices she's made if they were aware of all of them? I sort of don't think they would. They're like, yeah, we elected a psychopath, and that this is what we expected because she's going to get rid of some of the corruption. Is there still corruption? Yes, but it's now corruption that we agree with, right? So I find that to be really interesting and a great metaphor for at least the politics of the country that we're in now. Is this all going to blow up in Poison Ivy's face? 100%. Is she going to end up at the end of this alone without any relationship whatsoever? No Janet, no Harley, no anyone? Yeah, probably. She's going to end up broken and alone unless G. Willow Wilson is... I mean, I don't know how you really give Poison Ivy a happy ending. I don't know that would really work and feel true to the character. But G. Willow Wilson could do it. I have a faith in her talent to do that if that's what she chooses. Even though I don't think that will be what she chooses. But like I don't know where this goes after these political machinations. But you're 100% right to call out that Poison Ivy's pissed everybody off. She's alienated everybody. She's taken this all on herself to elicit this change. And I think what's so interesting, and maybe the most interesting thing about her stint as mayor, is that she's become so wrapped up in making these changes that she's lost sight of the bigger picture, which is interesting. I think I've used the term "she can't see the forest for the trees" a few times when describing this series, which is interesting considering it's Poison Ivy and vegetation or whatever, Parliament of Trees. There's all kinds of, different extra meanings you can put in there, but it's sort of true, right? Like she's lashing out and she's reacting to whatever her latest threat is against her. People that are telling her, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. She's almost like a petulant child in a way. Somebody tells her, oh, you can't do that. And she just does it out of spite. And again, I think she's just lost sight a little bit of the bigger picture of the change that she wants to make, and wielding that political power. But you understand why she's doing that, because she does feel threatened, because she is a person that's been marginalized for her beliefs her whole life. The belief in wanting to protect the environment and, people not wanting to listen to her for the vast majority of the time that Poison Ivy has been a character in DC Comics. And I talked to G. Willow Wilson about this when I talked to her about Poison Ivy a couple years ago at San Diego, how Poison Ivy in a way has become the most relevant character in the DCU in terms of like real world applicability because we are worried about the environment now. All of a sudden, Poison Ivy is the DC character that can point her finger and go, I told all you people, you didn't listen to me, protect the environment. And yet here we are with extreme weather and what have you. So really, really interesting. This continues to be an excellent title. I did look it up while you were talking, Rocky. It was Poison Ivy was nominated in 2024 for Best Continuing Series, and G. Willow Wilson was nominated for Best Writer. Last year, the only nomination was Hassan Osman Elhau, got nominated for Best Letterer. He happens to letter Poison Ivy. To me, this is a title that should be nominated every year. It's that good. So, anyway, like you said, the Eisner nomination is a whole nother. We can do a whole 4-hour episode on just that. But anyway, this continues to be really, really great.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to the cover. There's a middle cover there. I don't know who does it, but it's the one with Poison Ivy. Nubovich. It was just it shows Poison Ivy. It's basically a very, very dark colors: dark blue, dark purple, dark black, but with flaming red hair, with a skull. Her face is a skull, and she's holding a rose in one hand. Just a gorgeous cover.
Yeah, nightmarish, gorgeous in its nightmarishness.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Oh man. All right, up next, The Deadman. W. Maxwell Prince writer, Martin Morazzo on art, Chris O'Halloran on colors, letters by Good Old Neon. This is the same creative team that does Ice Cream Man. They did the Kryptonite Spectrum, I think it was, book for DC here a little while ago. So it's just a full disclosure. I'm just not a fan of their type of storytelling. And although I had high hopes for that Kryptonite series, I feel like it completely went off the rails after the first issue. Deadman is one of my favorite characters, so I tried to go into this with an open mind. I will say that I love Martin.
Oh, sorry.
I love Martin Morazzo's art. Always have. If anybody has not read The Great Pacific by Joe Harris, that is also Martin Morazzo art. That's that may be the best Martin Morazzo art I've seen. That it's gorgeous. I definitely recommend that. Do I recommend this? Oh hell no. No. Wow. This is a comic, and I don't know if I've ever uttered these words. This is a comic I wish I could unread. I wish I had never read this comic.
Wow. You gotta tell me more.
I had a visceral physical reaction to this comic in a way that was not good. Like, wow. It does not in any way, shape, or form feel like Deadman's voice that I've ever read anyone characterizing Deadman before at all, ever in any. And I've read most Deadman stuff because I'm a huge fan of the character. One of my favorite DC kind of lower tier characters that I feel like doesn't get enough love. And the fact that he was getting his own title, I was so excited. And then I heard who the creative team was, and I was worried. And now those worries have been completely fleshed out or kind of verified, if you will. I'm so disappointed. I wanted to like this, but oh my God! Like again, it's not. I mean, comic creators should do what they want in terms of, the company gives them the gig. They have to pitch for it. It gives them the gig. Tell the story you want to tell. I don't begrudge them that or whatever. And if you want to give the character a different voice than he's ever had before, I guess. I mean, I don't own the character. DC does, and DC editorial clearly said it was okay for them to make Deadman sound the way that he sounds in this book. But it's just so wildly antithetical to any version of Deadman that's ever been before. I mean, the things that are the same, he's still dead. He still can possess people. He's still answering to the same higher powers, but like his behavior, him spying on his ex, like it's cringy at best and stalkerish at worst. So again, the art's fantastic. But my God, did I hate this comic? I'm gonna struggle to read any more of this, but I don't want to by default just put it at the bottom of the list every time it comes out. But my God, this was I I can't remember a comic I disliked less in recent memory.
Wow.
So, yeah, I just,
Well, so
I mean, as soon as I finished reading it, Rocky, I sent you and Steve a message. And I don't know. I mean, were you surprised that
I'm
had you already read it when I sent you that message? Were you surprised by what I said?
I'm uh, I'm not sure if I remember the message now. Sorry about that. You guys.
I just don't read it out loud.
Okay, well, I won't. Okay.
It's not.
Well, you got me. You got me curious there. But yeah, I won't read it out loud. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm reading it now. Yeah, I won't read it out loud. Well, I disagree with your message. It's funny, but I disagree with it. Well, for those listening, this is. I will now give you the flip side. And I actually thought that this was what I expected a next level comic to do. That is to say, take a character that we knew and spice it up a bit, make the character more interesting. Now, straight up, this was in my top 5. Wasn't in my top 3, but it was in my top 5, and I think that this makes Deadman more interesting. The best that Deadman up to this point has ever been written in my mind. I like the classic Neil Adams. I got the classic hardcover with drawn by Neil Adams, the Deadman, where he was Boston Brand and he solved his own murder and et cetera, et cetera. That seems very, frankly, it's. To me, it's dated, and every time we see Deadman, it's sort of been the same old Deadman. And so, for me, opposite of you, I like the fact that this is different. I like the fact that I'm more forgiving that the voice it is different. I will grant you that. And why am I more forgiving? Well, I guess it's like if you're really beholden to this character, or you got a very stern, a particular interpretation of him that's more classical, then I can understand maybe being upset with this. Where I really enjoyed this is where Maxwell Prince, what he's done here is, I like the fact that Deadman is sort of like a spiritual. He's sort of like a spiritual policeman. He goes around and he particularly is focused on this place called Robertsville, which is a spiritual magnet where spirits that can't, when you die and your soul you don't transfer over into heaven, or you transfer into the afterlife. If you don't pass over into the afterlife and your soul is somehow grounded or trapped here, sometimes there's no explanation, and there's different. What Maxwell Prince does here is that he discusses different conceptions of death. So whether and he explores all of them, and all explored through the various people that the Deadman meets. While he's in the hospital, there's somebody who's dying. There's a girl who's dying, but he manages to cure her because there's even an explanation why there's last-minute miracles, while some people don't die and some do, and why some people cross over and some don't. And there is you've got demons, and you've even got the Hare Krishna, and then you got a little bit of Buddhism thrown in, and all of this portrays a Deadman who's very open-minded and is portraying death as something that death means different things to different people, but yet at the same time, death is not the end. It's not the end of things. Death is simply it's something that comes after. And death is just your soul transitioning to another plane, is the way I would describe it. But the villain ends up being this monster that eats souls. So the suggestion that death itself can die almost. And I thought that was interesting, but I was more fascinated with his own observations, where he, as a Deadman, he goes and Boston Brand seems to enjoy getting into the heads of people, and he enjoys sort of exploring and getting into the lives. And when he walks through people, he gets a sense of who they are and their backgrounds and their feelings and what hurts them and what doesn't, and their most painful memories. And I thought there was all those moments that obviously it didn't resonate with you at all. I thought a lot of them were quite poignant, and I thought they were good, and they kept me engaged into the story. So I actually enjoyed this. This is the most I've ever enjoyed Deadman, to be honest with you. He's never been a character that I've really felt particularly an affinity for. So that for that reason, I didn't mind this. And this does feel next level to me, or at a very least, it's a different level. And there's even a breaking of the fourth wall here, where there was one where there was a page where Deadman, when he basically gives his origin, and it shows Deadman poking at the bottom of the page, commenting about Mr. Jory's got 15 heartbeats left. And so he's sort of like breaking the fourth wall. Just like death, you break that wall into life, and you got different planes and different levels of existence. Who's to say you don't have that in the metaverse? And I can read all stuff into this, and maybe I'm just, I'm an old man being psychotically talking to a cloud right now, but I thought this was worth the read, and I really enjoyed. I picked up two of the covers as well. Great cover buys as well, and options. So for me, this
Mike Choi there.
What's that?
Mike Choi, that cover in the middle.
Right. Yeah. Gorgeous cover. But no, this gets a recommend for me. I think this is actually one of my favorite next level titles. I would have to say I really enjoyed Zatanna. I enjoy Zatanna, and I'm enjoying Deadman. So these are my. Now I'm hoping the Demon impresses me as much too. But no, I thought this was okay.
Yeah, so starting all the way on the left there, if you watch this on YouTube, Martin Morazzo, that's a foil version. It looks really cool. I imagine it's going to look great with the silver foil. And then you've got a Hayden Sherman variant, which is awesome as well, where he's holding the broom across his shoulders, or mop rather. Mike Choi there in the middle, then the main cover A, which is also by Martin Morazzo, and then you got Tula Lote on the far right. And there's another cover. There's a blank cover as well, and then there's a greenish cover that's similar to a lot of the Catwoman covers that Frank Cho has been doing, which is gorgeous as well. And I did pre-order this. I don't remember which cover I got, but I'm not going to buy any other of the variants as much as I love them. I would probably, like, if I liked the issue, that's the Frank Cho one right there. It's awesome. I would buy that Frank Cho cover and probably the Martin Morazzo foil and maybe the Tula Lote if I liked the issue, but I can't in good conscience support the book by buying more of the covers. Because then it's just so hypocritical, whatever. So anyway, those covers will just exist and they'll be cool images. Maybe I'll just download the image and, like, I don't know, have it somewhere so I can look at it every once in a while. But to your point about the poignant moments of death, that's Deadman. So to me, the things that were positives about the book, because it wasn't completely 100% negative. It was only like 97%. This is the point being that the things that I like about Deadman are those kind of things, and that was what stayed the same. So when I look at this objectively, I'm like, changing his voice and his personality and whatever, I think was just such a huge mistake and does a disservice to the character. And the things you liked about it, and the things that I could say are positives about the story, those would be the same if you stayed true to the character. You see what I'm saying? So you still have, that's what I love about Deadman. And but I totally get it. And if other people like it, hey, that's great. And if it sells well, then hey, maybe we'll get another Deadman series, and it won't be this creative team. It'll be another creative team that'll have a different take, and I'll enjoy it more. But to your point about you don't mind, because you're not as invested in the character, you don't mind him, feeling different or whatever. And like I said, it's totally the prerogative of whoever the creative team is that gets approval for their pitch to tell the story that they want to tell. But for me, when you change something, that's okay, but it still needs to be recognizable as the character. And if it wasn't, like, if you just gave me this story with like thumbnails and nobody was drawn in such a way that I could recognize them, I wouldn't, based on the powers, I would say, okay, Deadman, but just based on his behavior, I would never say that, hey, that's a Deadman comic. And if I specifically didn't know it was a DC comic, then I'd go, I don't know, it's just some ghost supernatural type story. So again, I don't mind that things change, but I think when you change things, it still has to be recognizable as a character. And that's the biggest problem that I have with this. Other than those death moments that are, as you correctly called out, Rocky, poignant at times, it's not this is not recognizable as Deadman. So again, if you're somebody who that doesn't, I don't care. I'm not a big Deadman guy. Then yeah, you might enjoy this. If you're a fan of Ice Cream Man, if you were a fan of W. Maxwell Prince's The Kryptonite Spectrum book or whatever it was, you'll love this. So I I guess in a way I'm eating my words a little bit because I said I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but I would actually recommend it to people who love Ice Cream Man, people who have no previous knowledge of Deadman or whatever. You can pick this up and enjoy it. But if you're a fan of Deadman, no, it's not going to be for you. So, and if I'm wrong about that, please let me know in the comments. Tell me, hey, I'm a huge Deadman fan and I love this because of XYZ. Tell me why I'm wrong. I want to know. All right, up next, Supergirl Survive, issue number 1. This is an Elseworlds tale. It's from Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan. Art by Rod Reese. Letters by Lucas Gattoni. I didn't really think there was anything new here, despite the fact that this is Elseworlds. It does look gorgeous. This is some of the best Rod Reese art I've seen. If you're not familiar with these creators, they did a self-published title through Image that
Kill All Your Darlings, right?
Yeah, Kill Your Darlings.
Kill Your Darlings.
Was nominated for an Eisner, very well received, and on the strength of that project is how they got this. But again, I just didn't feel like there was anything new here, but it is a little bit of setup issue. It is the destruction of Krypton, but it's happening in a different way than we've seen before. So jury's still out on this one. But just based on, I have to judge it purely based on this particular issue. It wasn't strong enough to make my top 5. It came in at number 8 for me. Anything to add, Rocky?
No, it came in at number 8 for me, and I really don't have a lot to add. I was, it feels odd. It feels almost like I don't want to give a cheap review of this by saying, well, it feels very predictable, but geez, it really, really feels predictable. If you'd have told me to, what's the elevator pitch for this? I mean, really, it's like, well, what if Supergirl, brought Kal-El to Earth at the same time? This is exactly how you'd start the story off. Like, it just, there's nothing surprising. Like, there was nothing here that really, like, literally nothing. No surprise. I mean, you have Elseworlds. Sky's the limit. And the lack of, dare I say, imagination in this setup. Like, you can do anything for this setup. Anything. And we got this just the same old, same old. I was astonished. Now, we have a hint at the very last page. Kara and Kal-El end up, I think, stranded on a moon, having badly rocketed off of that exploding Krypton, and they seem to be approached by some creature. Maybe that will be different, but in any event, for like I said, I thought this was particularly underwhelming. However, I will say again that if you're a brand new reader and you don't know a lot about Supergirl, you might really get behind this, because all this will be completely new to you, because it's always new to, there's always a first reader out there. But for a long-time reader like myself, and it is a little bit underwhelming.
Yeah, the main cover, which is by interior artist Rod Reese, is fantastic as well. The other ones, didn't really speak to me, but that main cover was awesome. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. It felt predictable. It felt, but it's only the first issue. Not sure if we know how many issues it's going to be. There's been 3 solicited so far. Wow. We jump to the 3rd one. Yeah, it doesn't say it's the last one. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. All right, up next, Batgirl number 20, Forget Me Not, part 1 of 3. Tate Brombal, writer, Steven Segovia on pencils, Jason Paz on inks, Rain Barreto on colors. I'll start off by talking about the art. Steven Segovia, on his last couple of books, has really leaned into the anime or manga influence, and I appreciate it. It definitely works for this. Cassandra Cain being a character of Asian descent, it definitely works. Also, I've been, I guess it's fair to say, I've been critical of this series. I keep saying I wanted it to be in Gotham City. I want it to be sort of crime focused and what have you. And lo and behold, we're finally there. It only took 20 issues, and for that reason, this gets into my top 5.
That's the first, I think, isn't it?
It may have snuck into the top 5 before, but it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. Again, because I'm just not invested in a lot of the characters that we've had here. But this is going back to the earliest days there's flashbacks to the earliest days of Cassandra Cain when she was training under her father, David Cain, to be an assassin. I appreciated that as well. And, again, what's been evident throughout the series is Tate Brombal's love of Cassandra Cain as a character. And that's true here as well. So the fact that he's going back once again to her earliest days and kind of embellishing the foundations of the character. When it was the martial arts stuff, that corner of the DCU just doesn't interest me, so it didn't hook me. This is a little more personal, it seems like, a little more internal for Cass Cain, so it interests me more. And again, that's the reason that it's kind of working for me. So we'll see how it turns out. If Batgirl's turned a corner for me and is going to start creeping into my top 5, we'll have to wait and see. But for me, one of my favorite issues of the series so far. Really enjoyed it. So what are your thoughts, Rocky?
This is in my top 3. I love this. I want to give a shout out to David Talaski. By the way, his covers are really going. They're always usually in they're selling. Pick them up, even if you don't like Batgirl. If you're somebody who's a speculator, David Talaski, cover A's. The cover A's of Batgirl are usually going for a premium in the aftermarket, secondary market, and even this cover A with that shows the chalk outline of Batgirl on the cover. These are just gorgeous covers. You got the forget-me-not flowers on it. It's absolutely gorgeous. So speculator alert, man. David Talaski covers. In fact, any David Talaski cover on any other series, not just Batgirl, keep it in mind. Pick it up if you got a few extra bucks. It's worth picking up. What I love about this is it's focusing on Cassandra Cain's past, particularly Dave. She was raised to be an assassin by David Cain. She was the daughter of Lady Shiva and David Cain, and she was raised to be an assassin. But she had, and obviously, as you can imagine, a pretty dysfunctional childhood. Well, in this case, that's coming back slowly to haunt her because there's a corpse of a child is found, and the child is wearing a dress that Cassandra Cain herself wore at one point, and it was a dress that Cassandra wore as a child when she first killed a man, which is very interesting because I'm actually going to go back and look at I've got the original the trade paperback of Batgirl's run of her original series, and I'm wondering if it's I'm going to double check to see if it's that same dress. It probably is. In any event, I love the callback, and I love that somebody's playing mind games here with Cassandra Cain, and it seems to work. And I love the use of the forget-me-nots, the use of the flower. I don't know if the use of this flower, it seems to have a hypnotic effect. This Dr. Forget-me-not is this new villain. At least I'm assuming it's new. What's his connection with Cassandra Cain? Does he have a connection with her father, David Cain? There's a suggestion here that maybe there's a little bit of a rewriting. Is the history here that she remembers of her being brought up by her father, David Cain, and also the Bronze Tagger? She's not sure if she's misremembering events or if these events are just popping up and she's remembering them again, or if she has repressed memories that she's recalling. In any event, as somebody who's a longtime fan of Batgirl, I have an interest in knowing these answers. But you don't need to know anything in the past. All you need to know is that somebody's playing mind games with Cassandra Cain. All you need to know is that she was an assassin when she was younger. She's reformed. David Cain taught her how to kill. Batman told her how not to, and she's still at different points in her life. She's coming to terms with that. And anyways, I like I don't mind the art. I'm not a huge fan of anime, but it is growing on me. I mean, God forbid, it's been like 10, 15, 20 years. At some point, I better get used to anime. But so I've been enjoying this, and I'm really, this is a very interesting looking villain. If I didn't know better, I'd say he should be in the pages of Poison Ivy. But Dr. Forget-Me-Not, it's an interesting name, and I'm assuming it's probably a new character. I hope it is, because Cassandra Cain needs her own rogues gallery, and it looks like Tate Brombal is up to the task of giving her one.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, last book we're going to talk about in detail: Absolute Green Lantern, issue number 15. Al Ewing, the writer; Sid Cotiane, handling the art; Pressy on colors; Lucas Catoni on letters. This is another one that's in my top 5, but in my top 3 actually. But in a normal week, probably wouldn't be. I definitely appreciated the art and the action. I appreciated Joe Mullen sort of playing possum to Tomar Ray, and it turns out she's a lot further along in her ability to control the green light of Oa than Tomar Ray thought. Sinestro shows back up, and we get the meaning of his name. We get to see some of the other lanterns wield their power as well. So a good, solid issue, moving the story forward, maintaining momentum. Nothing I can call out at times where this title is so inscrutable. This is a good, solid issue of Green Lantern. But again, in a stronger week, it probably wouldn't make my top 3. I'm sure you have more to add, Rocky. What are your thoughts?
Lord, yeah. Well, I do. This was in this game. I'll reveal this came in at number 3 for me. I have mixed feelings about the issue, even though it came in at number 3. But kind of a lot happens. But here we got the central the central conflict. There's the moral conflict, and then there's the battle itself. The moral conflict is between the conversation between Tomar Ray and Joe Mullen, because Tomar Ray basically wants to the Green Lantern construct. The symbol of the Green Lantern which is a giant ship that came to Earth. It contains all the inhabitants of the city of Joe Mullen's city, where she's from. I can't remember the name of it. But all the inhabitants of that city, Tomar Ray wants to use as bullets and literally shoot into the planet Mogo, the Black Star planet Mogo, to basically sacrifice them to basically traumatize the planet Mogo and in that traumatization that Mogo would go through, he'll be highly influential to suggestion, and Tomar Ray will use the power of the red, I guess, to knock the power of the Black Star out of him, is kind of how I understood it. And he wants, but Joe Mullen understands that the Mogo, the Black Stars, are a threat, but she doesn't want to sacrifice all the inhabitants of the town. And Tomar Ray says to her, look, Mogo as a Black Star has already killed trillions, not billions, trillions of lives throughout the galaxy. Who cares if 2,000 people from your planet are going to be sacrificed? You have to start thinking galactically, universally. We protect the universe, not just planets. And Tomar Ray has a point. He's got a very good point. We have to start thinking bigger than this. And basically, while they're having this conversation, Joe Mullen, you discover, is basically been playing possum. She apparently is. It would appear to be she's slightly more powerful than Tomar Ray, because they're both basically rogue elements. In other words, they both acquired their particular powers, their construct powers, but they stole them. Joe Mullen did it by killing Abin Sur, and Tomar Ray did it by killing acquired them from his mother as a child. Tomar Ray's mother basically imbued him with the power of it, so he never asked for them. So, because if you're a rogue and you get the powers unintentionally or you steal them, you become more powerful in the use of that, But Joe Mullen, apparently, she's never understood what the limits of her power are, and because she doesn't understand, she never imposed limits on the green powers, she feels she's more limitless. Her imagination she's not afraid to take, to imagine more. Tomar Ray is limited because he talks about his power, so he seems, the moment you think you have, that you're more powerful than someone, that ipso facto means that you must know the limits of your power. And so, in any event, so you've got these explanations as to how these powers work, a little bit more information from Al Ewing. Meanwhile, you've got the battle between, the Black Stars and and then you got even John Stewart and Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner, of course, he he uses the power of the red to shoot stomach acid out of his body. I got to tell you, a lot happens here in terms of the battles that are going on, but I still have some frustrations. I'm still not entirely clear with the Black Stars. The Black Stars talk about having willpower, but yet they're not green. And I know this is the absolute spectrum, not the emotional spectrum, but I'm still a little bit confused, to be honest, trying to differentiate between the power sets. It's still not and I've even done thumbnails to try to, so it still seems a little bit off-putting to me. I still feel like I'm learning this. And interesting, one of the Black Stars made a comment to Jon Stewart that he's basically useless because even though he's all about enlightenment and no one can harm him, you can't kill a gold lantern, but they're apparently useless. They're not much of a threat to anybody, so while you can't harm them, they can't really harm you. So she says, okay, go ahead and sit there, Jon Stewart, and meditate all you want. I'm going to go kill your friends. I mean, and she's serious, and he realizes, yeah, well, if I sit here and do nothing, and I'm enlightened, and I have all this knowledge, what good is that in a fight? And I'm wondering that too. So I got a lot of questions here. So, on the one hand, this is in my top 3. So, I really found this interesting, but I got to tell you, I still have some questions because, and this really, as again, I would just defend myself to anyone watching or listening that when you have to review a comic like Jason and I do, having to understand a story in such a way to articulate it to people listening so I don't sound like an idiot can be very challenging sometimes. and I don't always succeed. And I got to tell you, I'm not entirely clear about this, about all these powers of all these spectrums of the Absolute Universe, but I'm enjoying the ride. And I think I will say that kudos to Al Ewing. He's not spoon feeding us. I am interested. This is one of the better issues in terms of we get a lot of action. And I think eventually through osmosis, as we watch these various factions of the absolute spectrum fight each other, we're going to catch on more to it. I will say at the end, Sinestro shows up, and Sinestro appears to be a combination. He almost looks like to be a combination of all the different spectrums. I think he's the controller of Mu, and Mu is the opposite of an Owen. You have the Owens, and then you have the controller of Mu, and they're the evil version of the Owens, and he's holding up. He takes off his mask. The mask appears to be blue. He's in gold armor, and yet he's got red constructs and green powers as well. So I'm not entirely sure what Sinestro is. His name stands for something as well, but again, there's a lot here to unpack, and frankly, this is not an absolute series where you can necessarily just jump on board and pick a random issue. You kind of got to be at it from the beginning, I think. But in any event, I'm enjoying the journey, despite being occasionally confused here and there. I'm for the most part, I'm still on this ride. So,
yeah, Sinestro's name means no one escapes. So
there you go.
I guess no man escapes the Manhunters. No one escapes Sinestro.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Also, you mentioned the stomach acid. That's the second Absolute Universe instance of somebody weaponizing their stomach acid. I don't know what that's about, but apparently it's a thing in the Absolute Universe. You're not alone, Rocky. No one really understands these powers except maybe Al Ewing in his head. Yeah, you remember Absolute Batman?
Oh, right. Bruce Wayne, right. And when he was in Arkham.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. So, a couple variant covers. Rocky's got the main one up there behind him. Marcio Takara has a Joe Mullane. That's by far the best one. I think that one's the one behind me. And then Werther Deladera on the one that's in the middle there. So, that does it for the books we're going to talk about in detail. As I mentioned, a few collected editions this week that are out. We've got the first collected edition for Matt Fraction's run on Batman Volume 1 Daylight trade paperback, collecting the first 6 issues. You can get it in hardcover, you can get it in softcover, whatever is your choice. Superman Red Sun, very famous Elseworlds tale, written by Mark Miller with pencils by Dave Johnson, is getting a DC Compact Comics edition. Those are That's classic stuff in that DC Compact Edition. You can pick up these books for $10. 152 pages, collects both issues of it, for $9.99 plus tax. Absolutely fantastic deal. Up next, whoops. Sorry, everybody. I accidentally closed the window. Give me just a moment to get it back up in front of me. And then, sorry, I have to select the right stuff. Okay, we also have Supergirl The World. This is following on the footsteps of, I think we had Batman The World and Superman The World previously, and these are basically international comic book creators that are telling stories of whomever, right? So Superman, it was Batman. Now it's Supergirl. We've got $24.99, 184 pages. Supergirl stories from pretty well-known comic book creators from around the world. DC Comics' New 52 Batman, which is one of the best-selling titles in that publishing initiative, has its Volume 2 hardcover omnibus coming out. This is collecting Detective Comics 25 through 32, as well as Annual number 3 and Endgame number 1. Most of it written by Brian Buccellato, and Francis Manapul, but there are some of the Peter Tomasi issues as well. So you've got 1,056 pages for $150. Superman Adventures Compendium 2 trade paperback, collecting the Superman Adventures, which was based on the Superman Adventures cartoon. This is issues 29 through 66, 976 pages for $60. And you may be surprised to know that most of the issues were also written by Mark Millar. I was surprised by that when I saw the credits. I was like, wait, I did not realize that he wrote the vast majority of the Superman Adventures comics that were tied into the cartoon. I had no clue that was a thing. We've also got DC versus Vampires World War II Volume 1 trade paperback. This is collecting the first half of that final DC versus Vampires story from Matthew Rosenberg with art by Otto Schmidt. So issues 1 through 6, 256 pages for $25. And then finally, there's a new DC Superhero Girls trade paperback. It's High School Reunion. So they're a little bit older, coming back for their high school reunion. Written by Shea Fontana, art by Yancey Labatt. 160 pages, $12.99. If you have anybody in your family who's a fan of the DC Superhero Girls, you may want to give that a look. All right, I think you went first for rankings last time, Raghi, so I will fire away. 10 books for this week. Number 10, to no one's surprise, Deadman number 1. Issue number 6 of Harley and Ivy Life and Crimes comes in at 9. For number 8, I've got Supergirl Survive number 1. At 7, I've got Justice League Dreamgirls debut issue. At number 6, JSA 20. Number 5, Batgirl 20, sneaking in my top 5. At number 4, I've got Poison Ivy 49. And in my top 3, I've got Adventures of Superman, Book of L, number 9, comes in 3rd position. At number 2, Absolute Green Lantern, number 15. And then taking the number 1 spot by default this week, Batman, number 10. So let's hear your rankings, Rock.
Okay. Right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Coming in at number 10 for me was Adventures of Superman, House of L. Coming in at number 9, JSA 20. Coming in at number 8, Supergirl Survive, number 1. Coming in at number 7, Batman issue 10. Coming in at number 6, Justice League Dreamgirls issue 1. Top 5, coming in at number 5, Harley and Ivy issue 6. Number 4 was Deadman issue 1. 3, Absolute Green Lantern 15. Coming in at number 2 was Batgirl 20, and my number 1 spot, because it allowed me to have a pretty good rant, was on the good side was Poison Ivy. I just think J. Willow Wilson's been doing a stellar job, and I've been quite enjoying that.
Fantastic. Surprisingly enough, our largest gap is not Deadman. It is Adventures of Superman, Book of L, number 9, which you have at 10 and I have at 3. So that's 7. And then Deadman is a gap of 6. But yeah, we had pretty pretty different rankings this week, except for Supergirl Survive. We both had it 8. I've got Green Lantern at 2. You have it at 3. Everything else is pretty spread out. So, I guess Dream Girls, I have it at 7. You have it at 6. So that one's pretty close as well. So anyway, interesting week. This is what happens when nothing, particularly blows us away. So pretty cool. Anyway, appreciate everybody joining as always. If you're listening audio only, remember all the content that the Comic Source puts out is available on our podcast feed, whatever platform or app you use. Just do a search for the Comic Source and subscribe. But if that's how you've stumbled across us and you want to see the art, you want to see our smiling faces, want to see the covers every week, then head over to Rocky's channel on YouTube. Comic Space Boom, ! Once you're there, like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you know when new content comes out. And as long as you're there, might as well head over to the Comic Source YouTube channel as well, where the rest of the content comes out, independent reviews, interviews, that sort of stuff. I've got those panels at Phoenix Fan Fusion this weekend. If you're going to be there, appreciate you guys attending, get a chance to win a cool prize, and hear some talk about Spider-Man and the Punisher. So that's going to do it for this episode. Appreciate everybody joining as always, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.